Welcome back, everybody. It's your second series of the day. We see Endpoint once again, this time taking on SKADE. We've got a whole best of 3 to come, and we all start on Mirage. Really interesting series here. I'm excited to get into the action here on Mirage.
As we kick things off on the pistol round, it's Denny and Spellan with the utility in hand as they start to head over towards the B apartments. They've got the bomb with them as well, so definitely potential that this is where they want to end up, with Spellan just going for this fake. I'm not sure if Endpoint are buying it just yet.
They certainly don't seem to be. Robin, he's the first man to receive this aggression with Oxygen pouring his way onto B. He needs to be cautious of Max towards bench. He does find that first pickup, and he's still alive, roaming round the back. As that C4 goes away, it leaves Rainwaker in a world of trouble. Second headshot found, triples things up, leaving just Max, the man with the plan, still tucked away inside of bench. He's been here for years. And Rainwaker just doesn't spot him. No idea that the IGL is tucked away inside. That will be another pistol for Endpoint.
Really unfortunate stuff there from Rainwaker. He was on for an ace, and he just couldn't quite find the last man tucked behind the bench. That was actually played pretty smart from Righty Max to not face at all. As soon as you start to poke your head up, you're taking a very sketchy aim duel, whereas you hide for a few seconds, you make Rainwaker start to question where you're hiding, and then you can poke up and shoot him right in the back of the head. But tons of talent there in a very close pistol round that narrowly goes in Endpoint's favor.
They're able to pick up the majority of the bulk of this buy. 4 lots of rifles for Endpoint. They don't want the SMGs, obviously, with a bit of farm potential. SKADE just heading towards this A-bomb site. Seems to be the Eagles chipping in first. Denny finds one. It's an even trade as the C4 goes away.
4 versus 4. Of course, the firepower heavily in Endpoint's favor. As they start to come in for this retake, they're the ones with the utility to work with and the rifles in hand as well.
Mighty Max is going to be the initial prod, and that incendiary grenade's beautiful. It forces the Deagle into the waiting arms of Mighty Max, and crucial, still even Stevens as they pour onto this A site, and Mighty Max is actually underway with the defuse. Only 1 second left, and SKADE a little too slow. That'll be Endpoint second.
Oh, even dragging the 2 attackers to the grave with him as well. So nothing being saved there for SKADE, and really a huge mistake from them to take those post-plant positions in a spot where you can't see the bomb. Mighty Max, good bit of initiative there to realize where his opponents are playing from and just go for that defuse. Currently sitting 5-0. Now here's where the guns come out for SKADE, though. It's not the best of investments. You tend to see a buy up in the next, but considering they've had a plant in both rounds, it absolutely makes sense for them to go for this.
Having to double smoke window room as well with that first whiff means SKADE, they give away a bit of precious utility. They really can't afford to whiff those smokes. Remember, they've only got 1 remaining. That's on Spellan for any potential site take.
They're expending a lot of this utility early. Now all they're left with is 3 flashbangs and a single smoke to try and execute onto a site. But with headshots like that, there's certainly an opening. Crucial falls in window, and now SKADE can backtrack, grab this C4 and try to bombard onto a site.
Yeah, you've got this prod of Spellan and Rainwaker moving in from the rear to contend with Robin, who's already tucked away inside of Palace. This is a crucial pincer moment to try and hold on, lock and key this A site. And with Duplicate doing, well, just scouting out so much of this positional advantage, and Flames with the MP9 finding a frag, trading up twice back to the AK-47. SKADE need to be aware that Robin is tucked away inside and behind. I think he's going to wait to receive these further teammates, and with everybody falling on SKADE, this finally gets a little touch and go. They have to hold this up in a 2 versus 4 without any positional advantage on this flank. No idea that Robin's playing in behind, and that's flawless from Endpoint.
Flawless is absolutely the right word. Really beautiful stuff there from Endpoint. Cannot fault it whatsoever. ever. We look at this map, we say this is SKADE's map pick. It's one that Endpoint aren't too confident with. In fact, we saw this exact matchup on Mirage only a couple of weeks back, where SKADE quite confidently took it 16-9. But now Endpoint are just looking fantastic. We've seen 2 back-to-back scenarios where Endpoint have been in a situation where they've lost the site, they're in a 4 versus 4 retake, and they've played it beautifully.
And this is where SKADE is handed a bit of a head-scratcher. How much do they invest into this 4th? It seems to be a couple of SMGs. We see the double MAC-10 in the hands of Oxygen in duplicate. A couple of Deagles to also complement that buy. Not really much to work with, but can certainly get the job done. It only takes a frag onto one of these rifles. Perhaps steal away that AK-47 of the ever-so-aggressive Robin. And everything can come tumbling down.
It absolutely can. Only a half investment here from SKADE. Keeping enough money in the bank, of course, to invest into the next, but they're really changing up the pace as they push onto this B-bomb side. It's Spellum, the man with the brains, to find that first frag, but as his teammates are falling around him, there's not a whole lot more that he can bring to the party, as he's coming in from short very, very late, and he's going to get taken down by Crucial. Quite a clean 4th round there from Endpoint, only taking 2 casualties, but now they have to make no mistakes, because this is going to be the full investment from SKADE, and this is where Denny pulls out that big green scoped rifle.
Really feels like the big CT sides is a staple of the Endpoint game. Getting up to those 8-9 rounds on a map where sometimes only 5 or 6 is certainly good enough.
When you're taking sort of 4 early on, certainly starts to mount some pressure on SKADE's shoulders. Rainwaker up close, wants to try and find this first pick. Does exactly that, but not anticipating Robin to be up close to trade it. So a 4 versus 4 situation, but Robin's all on his lonesome now on this ace site. This is a real weak spot in the Endpoint defense unless they can get a rotator over. And with Mighty Max getting tons of control in the apartments, he now knows exactly what's up. He might even spot the bomb here. Look, the bomb's been dropped down towards top of middle. Does he spot it? Yes, he spotted it. He should be able to take out Spellum, who's on the backtrack to try and retrieve it. And now this is Endpoint's round for the taking.
As the smoke goes away, that creates a stalemate, but we didn't point out Oxygen from within the palace. He's able to sweep away 2 of those Endpoint members, and it leaves Mighty Max incredibly exposed towards the top of middle, with SKADE looking to resort backwards, grab hold of that bomb. Max needs support from Surreal sooner rather than later, but perhaps he doesn't even need it. The full flash, lots of damage to Oxygen. He actually blinds himself in that engagement, and this C4 looks ripe for the taking now. Surreal, yes, he's got the angle. It's an incendiary grenade to go down to delay Oxygen further and quite literally choke him of this map control. C4 grabbed, low on HP, and Surreal might just come hurtling through at the 10-second mark. M4 in hand, all of the information given. Should still be a bomb plant for Oxygen if he can get around this corner, and he certainly can. Digits tapped in, Surreal hot on his heels, and Oxygen's surely going to have no idea that this one's coming through. It's an easy frag to find for Endpoint's 5th round.
It's the Mighty Max show once again. He's been fantastic so far here on Mirage. And that's always the danger if you're SKADE. You have no B-apps control. You're leaving the bomb in top mid whilst you're feeling around for map control elsewhere. And they just don't account for the fact that Mighty Max might get aggressive. And then he spots out that C4 and it's game over. He's currently sitting 11-2 here as we go into round number 6. And yeah, he's certainly a force to be reckoned with. SKADE are really struggling to deal with him.
And not always the player that you'd expect to be topping the table. There's been a lot of ranting and raving about the skill that Flames brings to the server recently. Of course, Crucial with that AWP is incredibly consistent. And that's not to mention the other 2. Just providing that consistency to the server, that firepower to the Endpoint roster.
Well, once again, an even Stevens trade. Surreal falls in the middle of the map, and that's going to give SKADE some control to work with. They can feel around ladder room here. It might be Mighty Max to even out the numbers once again, or in fact tilt them in their favor as Rainwaker's not able to get the trade. There we go. It does come through. This is their key to push on to the B-bomb site now. And with the bomb in hand, Oxygen needs to find the frags. But as his teammate falls, he gets one back. But the Molotov complicates things.
That's an all-important shot for crucial misses, though. In the 2 versus 2, with Spellum wrapping in behind, it's surely not long for this world. And that leaves Flames, the man that you'd probably want in this position. He is so ironically cold, but he does get spotted up from Oxygen there. And now the C4 can safely go away. Flames trying to isolate the 1v1 Angels, but SKADE not giving him anything to work with. Angle established, headshot hit. That's SKADE finally on the board.
Yeah, it was certainly a close one. Could have gone the other way, had a couple of AWP shots not whiffed. It is going to be their first round down and gives them some money as well to invest around that AWP that was saved, of course, and forces Endpoint into a position where they have got nothing to bring in to the 7th. Just those pistols, a deagle on Surreal, and I see what kind of damage they can do with it.
This is such a touch-and-go scenario as well. You'd think winning 5 in a row, the Endpoint's economy would be blistering out of control. It is, but the other way around. They don't have enough to even force buy into this scenario. I like the passive play, but should be an easy round for SKADE to sweep away. Obviously, with Spellum reading the economy there, he's picked up the Mac 10, bit of farm potential, as these kills very easily coming through there for SKADE.
Very easily indeed, and with Flames handing that kill to Spellland on a silver platter, they should be able to find these last 2 with relative ease. Of course, only taking 1 casualty thus far. That is actually the AWP, though. And so far, it hasn't been retrieved.
I'm sure it will be.
I'm sure it will be as
before
well.
the end of this round. They've got to just deal with Crucial first. 2 of those kills coming on the Mac 10 as well. Puts Spellund's money up to the high $4,000 mark. SKADE finally starting to bulldoze a couple of rounds back in their favor, retrieve that AWP without reinvesting, and relatively little cash spent going into round 8.
Now the big investment from Endpoint, though. Flames just down to that MP9, but we've seen that he can be very, very dangerous on it. He showed us that on Inferno, getting aggressive on Banana many, many rounds and taking those initial picks. But now he has to do the same here on Mirage against a side like SKADE. Oh, nice early grenade from Robin there. That's going to do quite a lot of damage.
Yeah, Spellund's going to be caught scratching his head there. Down to half HP before he catches any information.
No potential so far as well for him to trade that damage. They have this control in middle. 3T stacked up, but Surreal's in a really precarious angle. As soon as he swings, he almost certainly finds the frag. Duplicate can't do anything about that one, and as his teammate wants to come in to support, there's no chance at all. Mighty Mac still firing on all cylinders as he's found himself too. Looking for the 3rd in this round. Finally, he falls as Oxygen takes him out, but he gets tagged down to 12 HP in the process. A 4 versus 2 for SKADE. A minute left on this clock, and the bomb's still in hand. But look at this suffocation play from Endpoint. They've got Flames coming in from the back lines. They've got Robin holding from the B site, and they've still got control of this ladder room area.
This is an impossible scenario for SKADE. You see Spellund just voyaging in to try and eliminate Surreal from within the ladder room, but it's just not going to happen, and now Oxygen really has to ponder saving. Not that he'll be allowed to. Obviously, swinging towards the B bomb site, which looks very open, but deceptively, Robin is there to hold the angle. 6 rounds there for Endpoint, as that's a very convincing one at that. The double AWP setup even retrieved. They want that 2nd sniper rifle inbound, and a tactical pause taken to ponder this situation.
Something we haven't really seen from Endpoint so far today. Of course, we saw that best of 1 against Forza over on Inferno. They didn't ever really opt for that double AWP setup. You tend to see Crucial and Surreal be the ones to wield them, but of course, Flames now in the mix, replacing Thomas, who would often pick up that AWP sometimes as well. He's still confident with it, so let's see what they can do on this defensive line with the 2 scope rifles in play. Dinosaur has got 1 to counter it. Of course, SKADE do still have some money in the bank, but they've eaten into all the reserve cash. This is a must-win round for them. Otherwise, Endpoint should be able to put themselves onto 8.
Flames is a real jack-in-the-box, to say the least, and he's got 4 kills. That's certainly not letting the team down by any means, but he is certainly hungry for more at this point, and even with the sniper rifle in hand, he can be an incredibly potent, deadly force. SKADE just setting up the default here on Mirage. Of course, Rainwaker tucked inside the apartments, finally receiving those other rotations through to the middle of the map, with Denny's AWP joining the pack and Oxygen setting up for the window smoke.
Bomb once again being left top mid for now. The teaser will spread around this map. As soon as they go for this peek, though, Crucial almost certainly connects the shot, even blinded. That's going to give them that man advantage. No trade potential for SKADE as well here. And off the back of it, Surreal's going to throw a smoke, and they're going to try and regain this mid control that they've lost. One engagement is all they need, and Crucial only needs a millimeter of a sightline around that smoke to find it.
That's an unfortunate angle there for Surreal as well. Usually that smoke sets you up to peek into underpass where 2 SKADE members are waiting, and it's Spellin to receive that first shot and pull it back into a 3 versus 4 scenario. Relatively little map control right now for SKADE, really relying on the in-game leader, Spellin, that big-brained Bulgarian, towards the middle of the map to try and open things up from Connector. The dissipating smoke means that Robin has to fall away, cover these angles, 2 for the price of 1. Relatively little map control here for Endpoint on the A-bomb site, really relying on that young gun Flames from within the CT spawn, and as Spellin finds another headshot, Molotovs are down, puts a lot of pressure on Flames' shoulders, but he drops that bomb. There's only 8 seconds on the clock. I don't think SKADE can get back into this one. Finally tapped away, Flames held at bay, and SKADE somehow plant that C4 and put the pressure right back on Endpoint's shoulders. The AWP at the ready, trying to pile shots on through, but Flames is missing everything right now. Only one of about 5 shots nailed, and that allows the AK-47s to establish this angles. Spellin with his 3rd, but Mighty Max knows exactly where he is. It's in-game leader versus in-game leader, as Spellin has the angle under wraps, and Mighty Max, he is going to fall. That's an all-important 3rd round on the board there for SKADE.
A really unfortunate situation. If there was a little bit more utility, or Mighty Max was earlier to the party, they could have got that Molotov down sooner, tried to prevent that plant, and yeah, with the time pressure mounting, SKADE would have been locked out. Instead, they managed to get that C4 down. They can take those post plants. Flames has got no health and no chance of finding that kill. And Mighty Max can't do a whole lot more, but oh my goodness, that is incredible.
That is outrageous. Flames seems to hit these shots time after time. This time just ripping the head off Duplicate. And Endpoint, they double down on the damage. Surreal, that's a fully blind second shot to find. And Spellin, he's not long for this world either. What a round for Endpoint.
And what a response as well. Off of the back of a 1 versus 1 clutch scenario not going their way, they come straight back into this one, swinging. That is beautiful stuff. All Flames? Yeah, okay. They did retrieve the AK. It's okay.
That's a flawless round, Josh.
That is incredible.
SKADE went into it with an absolutely full buy. We saw the AK-47s, yes, an SMG for Spellin, but now the money is totally broken. And it feels like Endpoint are starting to solidify a firm control on this first half.
Especially, they should be able to get themselves onto 8 here. And then anything above that's really a bonus, of course. Just these pistols in hand, SKADE are really just hoping for maybe some damage. A bomb plant would give them a little bit of extra cash to work with in the next. So far, it's being locked out.
But I really wonder what the game plan is here for SKADE. With the C4 down behind the B apartments, of course, to steal away a kill is certainly an advantage, especially towards this A bomb site where you only really need 1 frag to get a C4 away. You see the aggressively stanced Endpoint here. It's Flames already taking Palace control. He swings in for that initial peek, and spotting out no information means that SKADE quite clearly in this eco round aren't going for just a Palace dive to try and get that C4 away. Instead, they're hunting for a frag or 2.
No, they're not finding it as of yet. 45 seconds left. They've really just spread around this map, hoping for some kind of aggression from the CT side, and it's not been given to them. This is a very, very swift cleanup here from Endpoint, as SKADE do try and get themselves onto this A site. They're not able to find themselves a single frag or that bomb plant that they were hoping for. So 8 on the board now for Endpoint, and SKADE have got some catching up to do.
They certainly have, and remember, this is a big matchup for both of these teams. The winner of this one advanced to those closed qualifiers later on here in October. We're going to be covering all of that IEM Beijing action. And Endpoint, they're certainly not a team without LAN results, but heavily experienced in this online setting. Certainly definitely a different feel, a different stance. That's actually the second time that Surreal has been eliminated by Spellin from that underpass angle. That's crucial for the support, but it's only a 2-for-1 trade as SKADE open up towards mid.
Bit of a initial mistake there from Surreal. That is going to give up their man advantage, give up that middle control. They've still got plenty of time on their hands to work with, and SKADE haven't really gained themselves a whole lot else. Of course, having to backtrack, give up that B-apps control they initially took so that they can wrap around and retrieve this C4 so that they can get onto this A site. And so far, there's only a single man holding it as well. It's just Robin with this AK. We've seen this a few times, actually, where he's just that lone defender playing that anchor role, and then as soon as the execute comes through, he falls off, calls for the reinforcements, and they go for the retake. They were doing really well with it earlier on. Let's see if they can do the same again here with the man disadvantage.
Robin's solo AK-47 is the only man to receive this aggression, but with all of the information for Endpoint, they want to stack towards this pointy letter. That is the right move, Flames! What a transfer! Oxygen, he instantly drops, and now Denny really needs to find this shot. He's not expecting Robin tucked in inside of Ninja. Rainwaker's able to pull it back, but with only 10 seconds left and being toasted by that molly, Mighty Max has the angle completely under wraps. The SG-553 fires through to ignition. Galil retrieved at Endpoint onto 9.
That was beautiful from Flames. With a Galil at that kind of range to connect the transfer, the headshot onto the second. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. That was SKADE's round for the taking, and they let it slip away. Near recovery from Rainwaker, but it just wasn't enough. And now Endpoint sit 9-3, and as they just face up against the Pistols, a prime opportunity to put themselves onto 10.
This certainly looks like double digits for Endpoint. SKADE forced towards this A bomb site, and lots of flashes in hand, but none doing any impact whatsoever. Robin is going to sweep them out of the server with an ace to put Endpoint onto double digits.
There was pistols and armor there from SKADE as well, and they just couldn't get anything done. Robin put them to bed. And Endpoint, as you say, now sit on double digits. This is really, really dangerous stuff. No up available for the SKADE side. Just the AKs, the full utility, as they go for this default once again. This time the bomb's heading over towards A, and they might actually change the pace here a little bit.
I'd certainly expect them to do so. Endpoint have been eviscerating these rushes, and there's another one pouring into Flames' position. The incendiary grenade is going to isolate the bomb away from Denny, away on this A site, and Flames is going to very simply take him down. He knows that Oxygen is hidden towards ramp, and the HE lands flawlessly, and this Robin Flames combination fires through again for all 5.
Well, I think it's safe to say that change of pace did not work. Endpoint in these last couple of rounds have been rock solid on that A site. And yeah, another flawless round from them. Not a single casualty. Now SKADE sit 11-3 down. They've not got bags of cash to work with either. So this final round investment is going to be a couple of Galils, a MAC-10 supported by the AKs, and very little utility. And now they try their luck elsewhere. The bomb's headed towards this B site as they put that single man in middle at Spellan trying to find that opening pick, but so far has no luck.
Just sensational stuff from Endpoint from start to finish. An 11-3 half, and SKADE now want to change things up towards the B bomb site. Everybody in apartments, even Spellin with the MAC-10 tailing them off. But with the triple stack here for Endpoint, they've read this situation flawlessly. SKADE getting completely ripped apart, and Crucial should finish this one off with that AWP. A 12-3 half for Endpoint. What a result for the Brits here. Not just Brits, remember. We've got Robin, Crucial from afar, from that mainland Europe. Robin's obviously Swedish, Crucial from the Netherlands.
And then Flames as well from Israel.
Yeah, Flames, of course.
Yeah, this isn't really a UK roster anymore, is it? Of course, still the UK org, still competing in many UK tournaments. But yeah, real mix mash here.
They're always going to be UK in my heart, MNJ. I've got to take something for the UK.
We'll claim them. We'll say, yeah, they're from the UK. They're our UK team. We'll be proud of them. Until maybe new Cloud9 comes along. We'll see how that goes.
That might be interesting, obviously, with the addition of Mezzi as well. Maybe an unproven talent at the top of the scene. Endpoint proving themselves more and more. We'll head to a quick break before we get into the pistol round, into the second half as Endpoint look to close out Mirage.
I know my destiny. I feel a champion waking inside of me. It's set in motion. The legends spoken. This is my moment. Can't break my focus. Know where I'm going. This is my moment. Where you see me coming, better run for cover. 'Cause I'm not slowing down. I'm never going under. I survived the pain. I know it made me stronger. So meet the monster. I came to conquer. When you see me coming, better run for cover. I survived the pain, I know it made me stronger. They're looking at us, an audience. Keep telling.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Half two here. IEM Beijing Open Qualifiers coming to a head, and we can only give away one position. These two teams are vying for that closed qualification spot. SKADE over towards the CT side. 4 sets of Kevlar, kit on duplicate. And playing quite an aggressive defense here. You see Denny, Oxygen, both nicely placed as Endpoint looking to receive this action right now. It's even trading. Denny doing a lot of damage there. Spellin to chip on through a much-needed pistol for SKADE.
Absolutely. Endpoint knew exactly what they wanted there, going straight for that A site. And they get shut down. Spellan, 3 snappy headshots. You couldn't ask for more from him. Still a very long road ahead for SKADE to try and close this one up. Of course, they need 8 flawless rounds in a row just to bring it level pegging once again. And Endpoint, well, they've gone for the force up here. The Deagle's in hand, a little bit of utility on every man, and they stack up towards this B site.
Feels like SKADE know exactly what's going on as well. 3 players towards that B side of things, with Oxygen looking to receive the contact first. Just jumping, bouncing around for this information, with both Spellin, Rainwaker ready to receive. And Endpoint, they're making no noise right now, but this is unfortunately, they're about to walk into the bear trap, and all of the rifles are at the ready. Rainwaker, Spellin, both locking it down and away. Oxygen there just to sweep up that penultimate member, leaving just Mighty Max 1 versus 4, looking for a little bit more damage. I don't think he can get a lot done here, even with a smoke, the C4 on the ground. That utility is probably going to be null and void, but the Deagle certainly won't be, as he connects 2 quick, swift headshots. Oxygen to hit the ground, finally dispatched, but that's far too much damage for SKADE to be comfortable with.
Duplicate can't even retrieve one of the M4s at the end there as well. So it's only an M4 and an MP9 going across. And in a round that was looking near flawless, Mighty Max makes it very, very expensive. That was quite reminiscent early on of that round number 15, where, of course, Endpoint had that 3-man stack towards the B site and completely shut it down. But we didn't see that or the late performance, sorry, right at the end there. And Endpoint, well, once again, they are down to just the pistols. This time it's not backed up by Kevlar, so they will stack up towards top mid.
Should be an assertive shutdown. Endpoint, remember, just a kill or so here would keep the SKADE economy honest, and I love the run boost attempt. Mighty Max is going to receive that initial information, and Spellun found without doing any damage here. Rainwaker might be next in line. He's now been spotted. The pistols can try and plunge his position, but instead, it's the fallback option for Endpoint.
Of course, with this M4 retrieved, they can certainly have something to work with, but SKADE are playing this one quite well. They don't actually want to contest his mid control any longer. They know there's potential that these pistols could just completely overwhelm them. So they fall right back, play this 2-2 setup. Endpoint, actually 5 men going all into connector. This could be really dangerous if they connect these headshots.
That's exactly what you want to do. Turtle down, play as a unit, and these pistols might be potent, leaving just Duplicate looking on the defense. Rainwaker's there to pipe in some damage along from short, and Endpoint have already practically done their job. Unfortunately, that C4 is down in a way, unable to get planted. It does leave SKADE there with this 6th, but decent damage dealt. Good round from Endpoint.
It really was. That was a full eco for them to find themselves a couple of kills like that. I even thought there was potential for them to get a bomb plant. So, yeah, really, really good stuff. Now they go into the buy round. The AWP now out on Crucial. M4s and, or sorry, AKs, I should say, all round with the utility to back it up. And the thing is SKADE have allowed Endpoint so many rounds in that first half that actually they're really close to closing this one out. One buy round win is just enough to tip them over the edge and get them very, very close to that closing number. And Surreal playing really deep in these apartments, waiting for this aggression. And so far it's actually been given to him, but he can't find the timing. Still finds a kill onto Oxygen though, but it is going to be traded.
Yeah, this is a slightly awkward situation for SKADE, especially considering Mirage is their map pick. The Incendiary actually burning Crucial behind temporarily allows the AK-47 to bail, and that's in the hands of Spellun, creating another stalemate towards the apartments.
A 4 versus 4 situation, the time ticking away, but with this bomb actually creeping over towards B, it's only Denny to try and hold it up. The AWP in hand and reinforcements being called, but that Molotov forcing Duplicate right out in the open and actually drawing that rotation back. The fakes work perfectly, but that's a fantastic flick from Denny to thin out the numbers of the attack. Now the smoke goes up and the bomb goes down though, and this is going to be a real difficult retake for SKADE, especially with Crucial hitting shots like that.
This is another touch-and-go situation that puts SKADE on the back foot. They certainly haven't been made aware of Robin, but maybe a lame footstep there catches his position out in the open, leaving Flames so Crucial both on this site to try and hold it away. Just Duplicate to try and pipe the damage in, but it's unable to be done. 13-6 there for Endpoint, and everything falling apart at the seams for SKADE.
It really is. That was where they needed to win that first buy round, try and string some together and close this gap. They had to have a pretty flawless start to their CT side to have a ticket back into this one. And losing that buy up, they now have to invest into this one. If they lose it, which there's a good chance of them losing it due to this huge lack of utility and just the 2 Deagles in hand, Endpoint can get themselves onto 14 and more than likely the match point as well, as SKADE will have no cash left in the bank. So this is very, very dire straits right now for SKADE, and they have to fight their way out of it.
I wonder how they're going to get that done as well. They have to chain together so many to even bring it back level to 13-13 here. And Endpoint playing an incredibly passive defense. Robin just at the bottom of ramp, ready to receive any aggression or information. SKADE not giving Endpoint anything to work with, especially towards the middle of the map where Flames along with Crucial's AWP, are rummaging for that initial info. And SKADE just completely giving away this side of the map. Denny finds one, able to backtrack.
That's a very important man advantage for them to take. With Endpoint now with 50 seconds left on this clock, they are still playing as a unit, and they are going to wrap all the way round to A. Of course, Robin has been around that A ramp area for the entirety of this round so far. He knows that no one's got aggressive. They've still got full control of their gifted area from the start of the round. But with 30 seconds left, time pressure mounting, they have to go for this execute. And as the smokes rain over, here's where the kills come.
Crucial is going to sweep away the first. Denny didn't even have a chance to pull the trigger there. And Mighty Max can be this aggressive prod. Both of the CTs full, but still a 1 versus 2 for the in-game leader. C4 on the ground. It is only the Deagles to be the contest. Oxygen's able to swiftly find the shot. He doesn't even need the assistance of Rainwaker.
That's really unfortunate. A double AWP setup retrieved as well for SKADE. And as I said before, that was Endpoint's opportunity to take a round that could have been a fairly easy one, as they just had those 2 pistols to face up against. But instead, SKADE closed this gap a little bit further. 6 now needed to close up the scoreline, and they might get another freebie here, as I don't think Endpoint are going to go for a full investment. They might just go for some pistols, some Kevlar, a little bit of utility. Maybe we see a change of pace here.
That is decision time for Mighty Max. Do you want to try and force the issue and end the game sooner rather than later? We know that SKADE have saved the double snipers in this scenario in the hands of Denny, Spellin, some of the most experienced players over in that Bulgarian scene, especially. 13-7 right now, and it's surreal to open up the fragging. Duplicate instantly loses his brains, and there is the response from SKADE. I love this aggression.
It's a really, really nice response. Flames does push himself through. Should be able to get that kill with the Deagle. Does exactly that. Is instantly traded by Rainwaker, though. So a couple of casualties taken. These pistols haven't done terrible damage, especially if Mighty Max can actually wrap around and get this bomb down on A, which is very much looking like the case. SKADE have perhaps over-rotated a little, gambled on the fact that the bomb was headed towards B. And it's given Mighty Max a ticket, not only to get this bomb down, but maybe to do further damage. This Tech 9 in hand, up close and personal. They certainly expect him to be on this bomb site with that smoke down. They might not know that the C4 is planted within it. Spellan's now got the angle, and he now knows where the bomb is. Should know that Mighty Max is over towards this left-hand side of the site. He has to take the engagement, and the M4 is going to finish him off. No further damage dealt, but a bomb plant and 2 kills really isn't anything to grumble at. And obviously that extra cash as well is going to give them more money for this buy-up in the next.
Looking like a tighter first map here. Endpoint going to eat the tactical pause to decide their options. Great round from SKADE once again, not wanting Mighty Max's Tech 9. Of course, he's at the top of the scoreboard right now with 23 kills. 9 assists. Definitely not something to sweep under the carpet there. Big impact here on Mirage, but 4 kills from Rainwaker in that previous round. Nicely isolating the IGL there in the retake scenario. Able to pull it through, and they're within 5 of closing up this gap right here. What looked like an impossible scenario is now back in contention. AK-47s and AWP here for Crucial. One more time, going into round number 24.
This is the time that Endpoint could really do with snatching away this one. It would somewhat reset the bank of SKADE, and then they could close this. Right now, if they don't, it starts to get even more dangerous, because SKADE can continue to rack up these rounds, and as soon as they get themselves onto 10, 11, then it's right back in contention, and that initial 12-3 half that was taken isn't all too impactful. And they say execute starts to come through. It's looking like they're going to commit to this one.
And very early days here for Endpoint. They've got bags of time, but forcing the issue in the first 30 seconds. It is crucial to receive that first shot, and a wallbang onto Spellin as well. That's sensational. Wanting even more damage as he's piping shots in. Denny's able to receive him, but without the bomb down. Endpoint there just to watch these angles. They've still got a flurry of flashbangs. Flames now with the last piece of utility. And with Duplicate totally blinded, that's a nice flash assist from Flames to bring this one back into contention. Oxygen's, of course, been spotted. At Endpoint with full control of this A site. Unfortunately, not a C4 down. They might want to take the peek onto Oxygen first. It goes empty-handed, leaving Mighty Max another clutch. And there's the AWP to take him away. Really nicely sandwiched by SKADE.
Yeah, another unfortunate one for Mighty Max, where he's left in a 2 versus 1 like that, and he can't look 2 ways at once. He just gets caught off guard. So SKADE are able to put that 9th down. Came incredibly close. I actually really like that set piece there, where Flames threw that flash over, and Mighty Max was just allowed that freebie onto stairs, putting the numbers back in their favor. But it wasn't quite enough. And now these rounds start to get a whole lot closer. Off the back of that bomb plant, Endpoint will be able to buy up once again. The AWP on Crucial, AKs on the rest, and the utility all round as they start to try and take some control of the middle of the map.
Just a slow stance from Endpoint in the beginning of round 8 of the second half. SKADE there to receive it. Of course, the smokes are placed, and with the Denny burrowed inside of window, not been spotted out yet, he hasn't fired a shot. Means he's incognito, and Endpoint, they can't blast him out with the HEs in hand, and there's Denny just a swing into the middle of the map, and Mighty Max walks right into his crosshairs. There's no trade potential, and SKADE find themselves a player up.
This isn't looking all too great from Endpoint right now. We've seen many rounds in a row where they've gone for that initial peak, they've lost it, and all of a sudden they're on the back foot. All 4 players stacked up towards middle, and they want to try and group together, head towards one of these bomb sites, but with a man disadvantage, that makes that very difficult. SKADE can play this passive and play the trading game, and with one more go in their favor, and the Molotov actually allowing Denny to fall back completely untraded, it becomes even harder for the Brits to work their way back through. 3 men now is all they have as they start to group up. Push through connector, but they're being sprayed away even further, and yeah, Surreal gets himself the trade, but I think they just get put to bed here. Nothing more they can find, and that's going to be double digits for SKADE.
Yeah, that's a sensational round once again. The containment policy between the A bomb site, no over-peaking for the Bulgarians, and just really nicely keeping Endpoint within mid at the very start, and then Connector to finish things off, putting Endpoint back onto pistols. We see a couple of deagles come through, all 5 in fact. There's the body armor as well onto everybody apart from Mighty Max, who's of course riding a little lower as far as that economy is concerned. $2,300 after the investment. Robin falling first. SKADE really seem to be in control of this CT side.
Oh, that grenade dealing a fair amount of damage as well. Really adding insult to injury. Of course, this is still an investment here from Endpoint. It's not a full buy, of course, but the Deagles, the Kevlar, you really hope that it would be able to do some damage. And it's just not getting anything done as of yet.
That's the big goal here. Remember, SKADE haven't built that economy up, so every headshot that Flames finds is precious dollars sucked out of the SKADE bank account. Unfortunately, that bomb is out in the open in Surreal. He's going to be challenged to the headshot. Rainwaker does stand out in the open. Now he's got support from Spellin. So this should be an easy hold for the Bulgarians. They've got complete bomb control here towards the middle of the map, but with Flames firing on all cylinders, there's only 1 player left towards the top of mid before the rotate comes through. It's Surreal this time to receive another, but with the health running low and the C4 only just retrieved, it's down to Duplicate to sandwich in those frags. 13-11.
Well, it's not the round win, but definitely that aforementioned damage was dealt. 3 kills found for Endpoint. And you mentioned before the fact that SKADE haven't built up this bank. That's going to be some costly reinvestments for them. They will be able to reinvest without too much trouble, but yeah, not a lot of cash behind them for future rounds as things start to get closer. A whiffed smoke there from Mighty Max as well, not doing them any favors, but the full buy nonetheless. And this is where they really need to start putting some more rounds on the board. If they lose this one, the scoreline more than likely levels up. And that's exactly where SKADE want to be. And Endpoint do not.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is a best of 3. We've got Dust 2, we've got Train coming up next. Train's obviously that decider as the third map if we need it. This is for a spot in those IEM Beijing closed qualifiers just later this month. Interesting, exciting game. Endpoint still with a 2-round advantage.
Look at this stack towards this B site as well. SKADE, the 2 men on short once again, should be able to shut this one away, but the spray from Mighty Max deals with it perfectly. He was even fully blinded there. But are they going to expect 2 more CTs on this site? Perhaps not, especially as Denny fires off one more shot. Now he's trapped behind L block though, and as the barrel pokes out, he's going to get taken care of. Mighty Max, that's his 3rd of the round, and he's hungry for more as Duplicate's been spotted out on short. The C4 goes down, and he's not going to live a whole lot longer to tell the tale. 14 now for Endpoint. It's a little bit late, but as long as it comes through in time, it doesn't matter all too much.
Feels like it's Mighty Max always bringing them back in this scenario. 3 kills there on the B bomb site. The openings flawless from short. Robin also piping in with 2 there for the T's. And 14 rounds from Endpoint as they close in on this victory on SKADE's map pick of Mirage. Remember, they've got their home turf of Dust 2 coming up next. Endpoint, unfortunately, their results have been very weak here on this map. Only 25% win rate there on Mirage. And after a very short tactical timeout, we get back into the action with SKADE's money looking low. Only a couple of rifles picked up. Oxygen and Duplicate just relegated to these Desert Eagles.
This should be Endpoint's round for the taking, and in doing so, they pretty much secure this one. Of course, as you say, just against a really lackluster buy from SKADE, it would put them on to match point, and oh my, Denny, this is awkward. There we go, gets the boost in just in time.
Those boosts are harder than it looks, haven't you?
I'm sure. I'm
Got
sure
to
I
hold
would.
control on your keyboard.
Yeah, I'm sure I wouldn't be able to do it, but well, that Molotov certainly adds complications. Flames can't quite connect the shots, but it gives them that control nonetheless and eliminates that threat that the AWP once posed.
That's so devastating as well. That single Molotov extinguishes the entire SKADE setup there on the B-bomb site and forces them out of that double apartment stack. Now it's down to Endpoint to take this mid-control once again with 4 players predicated towards this side of the map. It's only Flame showing any presence towards B here for Endpoint. And as the smokes go down, even more mid-control found. The only real threat here is Denny from Ticket Booth. Can certainly swing through if he wants to take that advantage, but this certainly looks like a B split for Endpoint.
It's only Oxygen here to hold it up as well as his teammate Spellan falls. Oxygen can't do a whole lot more as Flames puts a bullet straight in his skull. And now a 3 versus 2 and SKADE are nowhere to be seen. Denny going for this save call. The AWPs has to be brought into the next round, but they're not going to have anything to go around it. This is absolutely dire for SKADE as Endpoint are going to be able to put themselves onto 15 on their opponent's map pick.
This is really impressive from Endpoint. And once again, it's Mighty Max with that double opening towards short. He has been flawless at finding these headshots, and SKADE just cannot contest him. I don't know what the change of pace needs to be, and realistically, M&J, I think it might be too little too late. Endpoint, they're going to be on to 15 rounds here, and SKADE really aren't going to have too much money. That AWP, that Deagle. Remember, the sniper here is going to be the only real investment SKADE have into the next. Let's see on top of the loss bonus what they have. It's only $1,900. This sucks. We'll likely see 0 more rifles purchased.
It absolutely does, and they need 4 back-to-back rounds just to take this one to OT. I'm quite glad that SKADE did have this flurry of rounds that showed promise, because it means that going into the next map of the series, they'll certainly have a little bit of confidence, a little bit of momentum built up, but losing their own pick of Mirage certainly doesn't do them any favors, and Denny has to get aggressive here, needs to try and find an opening pick to give his teammates an advantage, and that's a big blunder from Flames. It allows him to get that no-scope, but as the trades go back in Endpoint's favor on this A site, they might be able to overwhelm this one.
They seem to know where that AWP is. Of course, Flames already with the initial information. Denny with the rotate over, but cannot connect with that secondary shot. And Endpoint don't want to give up on this A bomb site. All of the defensive players are here. And there's Oxygen for another one, leaving Mighty Max another 1 versus 3 to his name to achieve. Denny's already gone for that rotate over towards the B side, and he has this angle totally under wraps. There's no way that Max will be able to decipher this one. He seems to be aware, and a couple of shots popped off, but they're not accurate, and the AWP's able to take him down.
What a start there from Denny to get hyper aggressive in middle, find that initial pick, and then pick up another later in the round as well. A really nice stuff from SKADE, and it gives them a lifeline back into this one. They have to do it again here, as Endpoint are on another full buy. But if they do so, it forces Endpoint down to an eco and gives them an open door of opportunity. They have to seize it right here, right now.
Absolutely. Snipers on both sides. And SKADE trying to pressure for this mid control here with a shot missed on Denny Slaw. I think they have to backtrack and leave Spellin inside of the connector. Of course, just popping those nades on through. That one's not going to land successfully. And Endpoint might again want to prioritize this B split. It's been their more successful avenue of approach. In Flames, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Dives right onto B, no support. Instantly giving his life away.
Yeah, can't even connect a single bullet there. And that kind of holds off this B attack. I think if he'd have found himself an initial entry, maybe they push further forward, but yeah, they have to backtrack off of that and try and find some control elsewhere. The only saving grace is the fact that they've got time to do so, and with that window boost coming through, Robin might be able to find himself an opener onto Spellan, but oh, that's a bit of a blunder. Spellan's actually able to take out his teammate just before he can do so. Now still this man disadvantage. They need to even out the numbers, and Rainwaker's in such a precarious angle. They can't deal with him, and as the time ticks away further, I'm not sure if they can bring any more into this round.
No, this is the 30-second mark now, and Robin needs to find this frag unsuccessfully, just unable to do so, and SKADE pull the scoreline away once again. 13-15. 2 in a row would take us to overtime right now, Josh, and SKADE certainly look like that's on the cards. The double AWP setup for the Bulgarians. Denny and Spellin always on those. Rainwaker, who's a player that we haven't massively talked about so far this map. He's on 32 frags. Really impressive stuff as Endpoint forced onto another null and void buy. And that's actually the second round, unfortunately, that Flames has died first. He needs to stay alive in these key moments and be one of those pincer players. I feel like Endpoint had far more success when they played as a unit, trying to attack these points just as an entry pack. This time, very individualistic play, and they might only have one more chance to close out this series in regulation.
Flames so often trying to be the man to find this initial kill and open things up for his team, be that hero, and it's not worked out for him in the past few. Interestingly as well, Mighty Max actually going for that full investment. He went for the AK and Kevlar. That means he's going to have no money behind him and very limited cash going into the next and final round of regulation, which is where they'll have to try and settle this, because only 3 men alive, make that 2 as Rainmaker finds himself 1 more. I don't think Endpoint are going to be able to do any more damage here, and any damage that they do deal isn't going to be all too impactful.
Now, obviously, this is going to be a full buy for SKADE in the 30th round. Whatever happens here, Endpoint might just need to click onto this AK-47 for Robin. The money isn't all too good, and Mighty Max will be stuck without any investment if this AK cannot carry through. Now, at the 20-second mark, it is only Robin solo to try and take this 1 versus 5, and it's not going to happen. 15-14. Overtime or bust here for SKADE, as Endpoint look to close it out 16-14 using all of these regulation rounds.
Endpoint, they've done exceptionally well on a map that they're not all too comfortable with, but with a 12-3 half, you'd certainly be expecting them to close this one out earlier. And now this is their last chance to do so before overtime. 3 men towards middle early on, the bomb over towards ramp. You have to be careful with this setup, but if they can find the openers, they might be able to make it work.
Just Mighty Max being that aggressive pincer. Remember, he's got the SMG, that MAC-10 in hand. Looking to rat-a-tat-tat his way onto the A bomb site, perhaps, which does have the double defense ready and waiting. A couple of nades towards short to try and contend. But with the smoke grenade placed, and Crucial finding that all-important first pickup, he's not spotted out Denny, but with the elbow nailed, Endpoint still have property of this A-bomb site. They only have to contend with Duplicate, which they've done exceptionally nicely. Oxygen should get caught off guard here, and Endpoint, they might just have won Mirage for the first time here against SKADE. Denny are 1 versus 3, and I don't see this happening in a million years with the AWP in hand. Mighty Max might be about to finish this map off. He does get all of that information, but Denny's about to walk into this one. It's 16-14 for Endpoint as they take another map in this open qualifier.